हरि ओम। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करपावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste friends. Team Param Vedanta welcomes you all for the session 5 of Kathopanishad. We will continue from where we left last week and study the next set of 5 mantras from 20 to 24, which are about the third boon that Nachiketa asks Yamadharmaraja and how Yamadharmaraja dissuades Nachiketas from asking that boon. What is that boon? To get an answer to that, we will have to listen to Dr. Sundar, Sri Ullas, Dr. Anupama ma'am, and Sri Vinayakan. Dr. Hegde sir, as always, will give us the finer points. Now it's time for us to listen to Srimati Mamata Shankar, who will briefly revisit the mantras we studied last week before we go to the introduction of today's class. Over to you, Mamata.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The recap of the mantras 1.1.15 to 19 can be further divided as: first, Yamadharmaraja teaching the ritual and upasana to Nachiketa as part of Nachiketa's second boon. Second, the bonus boons Yamadharma gives to Nachiketa, followed by the kind of lifestyle to lead to reap the benefits of the ritual. Then the fourth one is the benefits of performing the ritual. And lastly, setting up stage for the third boon. In the next slide, in 1.1.15th mantra, Yamadharmaraja's teaching to Nachiketa is elaborated in the Upanishad. Yama taught everything associated with Agni, the ritual, like Ishtakaha, Yavatirva, and Yatavaha, that is mentioned in the mantra. That is the type of bricks in terms of length, breadth, and width used to build the Homakunda for the ritual, the number of such bricks to be used, and the arrangement of bricks specific to the ritual. For example, is it circular, rectangular, semicircular, so on, and chanting of the mantras associated with it, to name a few. Yamadharma not only taught the ritual in detail, he also taught Virat Upasana to Nachiketa. That is, invoke the Virat in that specific fire involved in the ritual and meditate on Virat Devata, or become one with Virat through meditation or Upasana. Virat is the Lord manifesting as the physical or gross universe, or is the beginning of the universe itself. In other words, Yamadharma taught both karma, the ritual, and upasana, the Virat Upasana. Yamadharma was very happy when Nachiketa absorbed everything, the ritual as well as upasana, that was taught to him, and also repeated it back in front of Yamadharma. Upanishad says, pleased with Nachiketa's Shraddha, that is faith, and retention and reproducing capacity, Yamadharma gives bonus boons consisting of two gifts to Nachiketa. That is, Yamadharma says, the Agni, the ritual that Yamadharma taught Nachiketa, will be known as Nachiket Agni or Nachiketa ritual going forward. And he also gives gems-filled multicolored necklace to Nachiketa. We come to know in later portion of the Upanishad that Nachiketa returns the necklace back even though there is no mention of it in this mantra. We also come to know later that Nachiketa asks Yamadharma to teach him the ritual that will make a person attain heaven after their lifetime, is not for himself but to teach the interested people, in other words, for the benefit of the society that is interested in rituals and better life now and after. In the next slide, Mantras 17 and 18 talk about the benefits of performing the ritual and upasana or meditation. Gist of these two mantras put together is to reap the benefits of the ritual, it is not only important to do it properly, but equally important to be aware of the kind of lifestyle to lead. Upanishad says, when a person with good character, leading ethical life, and follows the ritualistic part of the Vedas, it leads to different grades of heaven after their lifetime, depending on the kind of rituals performed. Elaborating little more on this, a person who has three types of good relationships, that is, with mother, father, and guru or teacher, is considered complete or wholesome person, and such a person performs three basic karmas, that is, the prayer, scriptural study, and charity work, and performs Nachiketa ritual thrice over their lifetime, knowing three important factors very clearly. That is the type of bricks, number of bricks used, and form or arrangements of Homakunda, which are mentioned in the 15th mantra in detail, which we just went over briefly, and also the rules associated with these factors to construct the Homakunda for the ritual and follows them properly. Such a person crosses or goes beyond birth and death, in other words, attains heaven. Suppose this Nachiketa ritualist knows about the Virat Devata, that is Brahmaja, which is mentioned in the mantra 17. Brahmaja means one who is born out of Hiranyagarbha or Brahma, that is Virat Devata. That ritualist, being aware of the Virat Devata, who is adorable and omniscient, reinforces the Nachiketa ritual with Virat Upasana, that is, invokes Virat in the fire and then meditates. In the next slide, this ritual clubbed with the meditation results in greatest benefit. That is, they will attain Brahmaloka, the highest heaven, which gives the greatest or permanent peace and happiness. In short, the ritual with meditation brings more benefit than the mere ritual. Mere ritual will result in a lower heaven, that is Svargaloka, while the one accompanied by Upasana will give the highest heaven or the Brahmaloka. Immortality, greatest peace in heaven, is often used to refer to relatively longer and most pleasurable life as compared to short lived materialistic human life. In the next slide, and the last one, with the next mantra, that is the 19th mantra, Nachiketa's second boon comes to completion. Yama reaffirms teaching the ritual and naming the ritual after Nachiketa as Nachiketa ritual or Nachiketarni, and asks Nachiketa to ask for his third and the last boon as he had promised Nachiketa, which is addressed in the next, that is the 20th mantra, which we will be seeing in the class. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Mamta. That was a very clear explanation of all the verses that we studied in the last class. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Upanishads have many synonyms. One of them is called Vedanta. Anta means end, so the end portion of the Vedas are also the Upanishads. It is also called Jnana Kanda because it gives us spiritual wisdom or Jnanam, which takes out our main problem. The only problem is the problem of ignorance of our true nature. And ignorance of our true nature is Atma Ajnanam. That knowledge which gives us Atma Vidya is another synonym for Vedanta or Upanishads. So another name is Brahma Vidya, or Brahma Vidya is another name for Vedanta. So we have 5 names: Vedanta, Jnana Kanda, Atma Vidya, Brahma Vidya, and the Upanishads. Now, if you break up the words Upanishad, Upa means going towards a guru. It is called Guru Upasadanam, going towards a guru. And when you are with the guru, you don't sit at the same level because knowledge always comes from a higher level to a lower level. The word ni means to sit down. The word shad means to destroy. In Sanskrit, it is called apasadanam. What is destruction of what? Destructions of all forms of limitation which cause bondage. Jivatvam, that means I'm a limited being, or samsara, or ignorance. So Upanishads is going to a guru, getting knowledge by sitting down and removing all my ignorance. Upa, which is so close, and what is closer to me, or what is closest to me, or what is me, is Atma. Ni can also be called Nischaya Jnanam. It is something that where you have to be absolutely, absolutely convinced about. And Shad means the one who takes you towards that. So this is another, these are things which are explained by Adi Shankara in the Bhashyam. Whenever he gives the introduction, he describes all these things. The Upanishads are extremely rare knowledge. Now, there are very many religious people that we will meet. And if you ask them about Upanishads, they will know that Upanishads is a sacred text, but they will know very little or nothing about even among the religious people in our own country. Why is it so? And this is very nicely brought out in this Upanishad more than any other Upanishad, the Kathopanishad. It is not available to all for three primary reasons. Extremely difficult to find a student of the Upanishad. All of us who are listening to this class are extremely rare. It is extremely, a teacher has said, it is some punya of our last janma that have brought us to our Upanishadic class. Otherwise, you will see even in your own family, there are so many people and very religious and very good people. But how many of them have an inclination towards Upanishads? So extremely rare to find a student interested in the Upanishads. Similarly, to get a teacher for the Upanishads is very rare. And this subject also, as we will see in our discussion today, any subject, that means any topic that is outside of you, is easy to understand. But when the topic is not outside of you, and it is you, and when it say you, it is not your body or mind. It is something more subtle than the body and mind. Therefore, the topic also is very difficult, and these are the problems about Upanishadic Jnanam. We have heard these Upanishadic words so many times. It is, once you're able to relate. For example, from our school days, we've heard this mantra. Every time a lamp is lit, they make this mantra, Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya. This is the mantra that comes from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. In fact, the word mantra should come only for Upanishadic verses, like Bhagavad Gita verses or Brahma Sutra verses or any other prayer verses should not be strictly called as mantras. Mantras refer to only those which come from the Vedas or the Shrutis. Another famous Upanishadic verse that we have heard is from Swami Vivekananda, awake, arise and stop not until your goal is won. And this comes from the same Upanishad that we are studying, the Kathopanishad. It comes in the next chapter, the second chapter. Uttishta Jagrata Prapyavarani Bodhata. Wake up, get up, obtain a suitable teacher. That is what it said. And then it speaks about the difficulty, Shurasya Dhara. Studying the Upanishads is like walking on a razor's edge. The Upanishads are in Sanskrit, and the language is called Deva Vani. That means the language of the gods. And it was spoken, the script is called Devanagari. Devanagari. So the town where all the Devas live. Sanskrit is certainly the oldest language on earth. The word Samskrita means to be refined, to be transformed. And because so many enlightened beings have used this language, something of their joy, something of their being has penetrated into and enriched this language. The Vedas are also called Shrutis, or that which is heard, because the Vedas came even before a written script was available, and it was transmitted by what is called an oral tradition from father to son, from the teacher to the student. So people memorized it and gave it to the next generation. The Vedas can be broadly classified into Veda Purva and Veda Anta, and Adi Shankara speaks to them as two separate texts, two different Anubandha Chatustaya. Veda Purva deals with various religious activities and to fulfill our goals for Dharma, Artha, and Kama. Vedanta is the philosophical part of the Vedas, which help us to attain Parama Purushartha or Moksha. Initially, it is said, if you go by the number of shakas, the number of the divisions in the Vedas, we should have 1,180 Upanishads, of which only around 108 are available. Of them, 10 have been commented by Adi Shankara and other great acharyas, and therefore these 10 are called the Dashopanishad. Why are these 10 Upanishads selected from those 100? Why are these 10 Upanishads called major Upanishads and the others are called minor Upanishads? Not that they speak about a major Upanishad and the others are not so important. It is a technical term, and so we have to give that much importance. All Upanishads are the same, or they are of the same major significance. They talk about the same Brahman. But then these Upanishads have been selected by great masters for two reasons. One, in the Brahma Sutra, Vyasacharya, to clarify many doubts in the Upanishads, in the Vedic understanding, he has classified them. He has studied very many verses from these 10 Upanishads. That is why, if you have to study the Brahma Sutra, these 10 Upanishads are necessary. If you want to know more about Upanishads, there is one Upanishad called the Muktikopanishad, where the teacher is Sri Rama and the student is Hanuman. And there, Sri Rama tells about the various Upanishads, how they are classified, and so on. So this general classification should be available to all of us because, as I said, the Upanishads are from the Vedas. So therefore, you should have Upanishads from the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and the Atharva Veda. The Sama Veda, Yajur Veda has got two schools. One is called Shukla, or the white school. The other is called the Krishna Yajur Veda, or the dark school. The Rig Veda has the largest among all the Vedas, but there is only one major Upanishad, that is the Aitareya Upanishad. Yajur Veda, Shukla Yajur Veda, has got two Upanishads. One is called the Ishavasya Upanishad, small, 18 verses. And the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is considered as an elaboration of the Ishavasya Upanishad. Then from the dark school, from the Krishna Yajur Veda, you have the Kathopanishad and the Taittiriya Upanishad. From the Sama Veda, you have two major Upanishads, the Chandogya Upanishad and the Kena Upanishad. From the Atharva Veda, we have three major Upanishads, Prashna Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, and one minor Upanishad, which is generally studied, that is the Kaivalya Upanishad. As this classification is so important, I will revise with you. The Upanishad that comes from the Rig Veda is Aitareya Upanishad. In the Yajur Veda, we have two schools, Shukla, white school, Brihadaranyaka, and Ishavasya. From the Krishna Yajur Veda, the Upanishad that we are currently studying, Kathopanishad and the Taittiriya Upanishad. Now, when we study the Shanti Patas, you will realize because each Veda, the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda, have a particular Shanti Pata, and all these Shanti Patas for all the Upanishads coming from the same Veda are the same. For example, Kena and Chandogya will have the same Shanti Pata. Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, and Kaivalya will have the same Shanti Pata of the Atharva Veda. And if you will remember, Om Badram Karnebi Shrunyama Devaha. Today's class, we will focus on Shanti Pata and the importance of Shanti Pata. As I just said, all Upanishads from the same Veda will have the same Shanti Pata. However, there will be some exceptions. A Shanti Pata is chanted to remove obstacles. For example, all of us now have gathered to study the Upanishads. And while we study, there will be anybody, whenever you're doing something important, will anticipate obstacles. And these obstacles come based on our prarabdha only. Our prarabdha, if it is not very good, if it is a good prarabdha which brings us to this class, and because of bad prarabdha, that will obstruct us from this class. Now, our karmas, nobody can stop them. But then our Shanti Pata is like going to a court and getting a stay order. That means while I am studying in this class, there should be no noise. There should be no disturbance. The electricity, the internet should not be interrupted. That is from certain external forces, and there are certain internal forces. My health should be all right. I should be able to pay good attention. So these are the Shanti Patas that we have to chant to remove obstacles. Now, it is to be recited both by the teacher and the student, so that we will be put our effort and also to be able to receive grace. It is addressed to all the devatas. Now, if you have, in our Tattva Bodha classes, we have studied, for example, the eyes. We have the devata who presides on my vision is Surya Devata. So we make our prayer to each of these devatas to keep our organs in a fit position so that we will be able to get this Vedantic wisdom. Ultimately, the whole purpose of our life is to get this wisdom, because once this wisdom has got, anything that happens to the body, we will be able to say it is okay, this body has served its purpose. So the purpose of this body, the purpose of our life is only one thing. All the other things is only supporting. I am here for one purpose, that is to be able to get Brahma Vidya. I am here to get my true nature, and that I am Atma Brahma. I am not this ordinary body-mind complex. I am this consciousness which is enlivening this body-mind. I am the same consciousness that has given existence to this whole world. This has to be a Jnana Nishta. And that is why we study the Upanishads, and that is why we have all these prayers. Now, the purpose of today's class, where I'm going to give a lot of emphasis on these Shanti Patas, is each of these Shanti Patas should be chanted before every class. Now, for example, this Om Sahana Bhavatu has to be chanted whenever we are studying Kathopanishad, Upanishad, and so on. More importantly, this Shanti Pata is so beautiful and so important that whenever there is a student and a teacher sitting together, this Shanti Pata is chanted because it is so appropriate for our study. Very simple. But then let us make it as part of our daily prayer. As I said, the Upanishads are from the Vedas, and the Vedic prayers have a very special significance compared to all the other prayers. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karavavahai, Tejasvina Vadita Mastu Ma Vidvishavahai, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. One is mechanically chanting, but then through understanding, I will know the real significance that this is a Shanti Pata of the Krishna Yajurveda from the Kathopanishad and the Taittiriya Upanishad. The Taittiriya Upanishad has got 3 Vallis, Shiksha Valli, Brahmananda Valli, and Bhrigu Valli. There is one exception, that the Shiksha Valli has got another Shanti Pata, Om Shanno Mitra Sham Varunaha. Now, let us quickly go through this prayer. Although we have studied this many times, if you get the real significance of the prayer, whenever you say Om Sahana Vavatu, that what is this meaning? Avatu means protect. O Lord, look at the paradox. When we are studying Brahma Vidya, we are declaring I am Atma Brahma. But here again, Ishvara or the Lord comes in. So when we study, we bring in bhakti, we bring in devotion, we bring in the presence of God. And then we say, oh God, please protect my teacher, please protect me. The word avatu means to protect. Swami Paramarthananda gives us a deeper meaning. There are various levels of protection. You can have, in our country, we have various categories of protection. So the president and the prime minister have the highest level of protection. Now, is there something higher? The highest level of protection is to understand that I don't need protection. That means once I know I am not this body, what needs protection? Anything anatma requires protection. My body needs protection. My mind needs protection. My possessions need protection. My family needs protection. My job, I need to protect my job. So all these anatma things require protection. I am Atma Brahma. If you understand this, so the first line of this prayer is to give me that understanding to know that I don't need protection. The word bunaktu means to relish or to enjoy. And Swamiji says, what is the greatest enjoyment? To be able to enjoy jnanam, to be a jivan mukta. So see the significance of the prayer. Saha viryam karavavahe. When there is something so subtle, so great, it is like Mount Everest. It is like winning an Olympic gold or winning the World Cup in cricket. Now, when there is something so great, am I ready to put effort in one of the subsequent Shanti Patas? The student will make that prayer, the Shanti Pata. I will convert day into night. I will work day and night. For me, there is no distinction between day and night because that is the kind of effort I'm going to put. So what is the commitment of the student? Besides effort, I have Shraddha, I have commitment. I will retain this knowledge. I will be able to recollect the knowledge. Of course, the teacher makes his commitment in time, patience, being able to understand the student and have that compassion to be able to communicate his own understanding. Very important, Tejasvina Adita Mastu. That means, can my mind be so transformed? I'm here not for information. I'm here for transformation. The moment I know I am someone extraordinary, by the end of the class, I'll be walking not on the ground, but I'll be floating in air because I understand I am not this body. I'm something far greater than the body. The body is only an instrument. Let this knowledge not be something weak, but it is something so brilliant. It shines through me. It is about me, and this has to be understood. My true nature has to be clearly understood. And let me have clarity in my mind and also be able to remember this through all my daily life. Finally, Om Shanti, 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 Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, and Adhyatmika. To recap, this prayer gives us Jnana Prapti, knowledge, Jnana Nishta. It talks about my prayatnam and the importance of Shraddha, so that when there is Shraddha, there can be no differences between the teacher and the student. One more very important Shanti Pata, because today's class, we will finish a little quickly. I will take another 5 minutes and explain, because every class begins with Om Sahana Bhavatu. Every class ends with Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Now, I told you these Shanti Patas are so beautiful, and my the reason for all this emphasis is make these Shanti Patas a meaningful part of your everyday life. Now, normally it becomes mechanical when Om Purnamada comes, means the end of the class and we can get away from here and do something else. But then Om Purnamada is so loaded, is so important that I will make my own attempt, because unlike other Shanti Patas, this is a little bit of an exception. Perhaps this is the only exception. It is not a prayer. It is a declaration. It is not an ordinary declaration. It is a declaration of an enlightened being. That means if you have understood the Upanishads, if you have digested the Upanishads, if you want to exclaim, there was a Sufi mystic who got Brahma Vidya, and he exclaimed, Anal Haq, I am that, I am Atma Brahma. He exclaimed so loudly that he had to be executed, because in this context, to be able to say I am God was considered a sacrilege. Now, Om Purnamada, Om Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnamevava Shishyate, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. The essence of this mantra, if you have to understand, is only the essence of all Vedanta. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. It brings about Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam, and more than that, about Anatma being Mithya. Brahma Satyam, I am Brahma, is easy to understand. But to be able to say this body is a perishable commodity, all that I value is something dreamy stuff, which I have to be ready to relinquish, is not easy at all. And that will come each time you say Om Purnamada. The first line, Om Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate, talks about the relationship between Jivatma and Paramatma and brings about twofold relationship. One is Jivatma and Paramatma is one and the same. Second is a cause-effect relationship when you see from the body-mind angle or the Saguna aspect that I have come from the Lord. I, Purnam Adaha, that Paramatma is Purna. This Paramatma is, this Jivatma is also Purna. You can't have two infinites. That means Jivatma and Paramatma are one and the same. Now you suddenly move from Nirguna, from the Paramarthika to Vyavahara and say, this Jivatma, this body-mind has come from that. So that means Paramatma is the cause and I am the effect. For example, and is always brought about nicely to explain about ocean, water, and the wave. The wave has come from the ocean, but in essence, it is water. And therefore, from one angle, Jivatma and Paramatma are one and the same. Now, so we have Aikyam and Jivatma has come from Paramatma. From both the angles, we can see Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. Now we come to the next line, and this is more difficult. Purnat, Purnamudachyate. I have already explained this. This Purna has come from that Purna, which is the cause effect. Now this is difficult to understand. Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnam evava Shishyate. From the Purna, that means either Jivatma or Paramatma, from the Purna Jivatma or from the Purna Paramatma, if you take out the essence, which is Atma, that means if you can take out the essence of the Atma, you cannot take it out because Atma is always there. Mentally, if you separate the Atma component from Paramatma, the Atma component from Jivatma, nothing else remains. That means Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Anatma does not have an independent existence. So Atma alone is Purna. Anatma does not exist independently. So we need to be able to use this mantra to say, I am whole and complete. And everything that I see and experience is of a lower order of reality. In our next class, we will learn the Shanti Pata of the Atharva Veda, another very beautiful Shanti Pata, Om Bhadram Karnebi Shrunyama Devaha. I'll request all of you to revise this. And the Shiksha Valli Shanti Pata, Om Shanno Mitrasham Varunaha. To save time, I will not come in between each of the speakers. So the speakers, you will have enough time. Dr. Sundar, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So we are in the Pratama Adhyaya, Pratama Valli. on account of having made Nachiketas wait for 3 nights, Yamadharmaraja is having to give him 3 boons to avoid Prayaschitta karma. Mantra number 10th and 11th covered the first boon, in which Nachiketas asked for the welfare of his parents. Mantras 12 to 19th covered the second boon, where he looked at a more broader benefit for the welfare of the society at large. And now, in the 20th mantra, he is asking the third boon, which is in the form of self knowledge for himself. And the discussion of this continues till the end of this Upanishad. So this Pujya Swami Paramarthananda ji calls as a foundation verse, because we see a transit from Karma Kanda to Jnana Kanda happening, also from Veda Purva to Vedanta, and religious portion to philosophical portion. In this next slide, let us look at the analysis of this verse. After doing Padacheda and Anvaya, Ya Manushya Prete, about the man who dies or who passes away, Yam Vichikitsa, this doubt is there. What is the doubt? Eke ahuhu ayam asti iti. Some say he is thus. Eke ahuhu ayam na asti iti cha. Some others say he is not thus. Tvaya anusishtaha, taught by you, etad aham vidyam, this I will know today. Eshaha varanam tritiya vara, this among the boons that you wish to give is the third boon that I am asking. In this next slide, let us see what is the basic question here. Eke ahuhu asti iti. Eke ayam na asti iti ahuhu. So after death, some say the jiva survives, some others say jiva does not survive. Nachiketas wants to know what is this mystery. He suggests here that while he was in Bhuloka, there was no solution for this mystery, and Yamadharma Raja, being master of death, would certainly know about this. So he is asking this question. We say in Kannada, Jiva hoitu, Jiva has gone. So this usage implies that not only something survives at death, but that something travels as well. So this is the basis of rituals like Shraddha, Tarpana. Now, Jiva is not visible and it is not available for scientific investigation. So this is therefore the basis for the question that Nachiketas is asking. And he is certain to get an answer here because he is asking this question to Yamadharma Raja. Let us, in this next slide, look at some fundamentals about the composition of the body and what happens at death. Although this is covered well probably in the Vedas, we have studied this in Tattva Bodha and Bhagavad Gita, to which I would like to draw some reference. So life is a combination of Stula, Shukshma, Karana, Sharira. Atma is all-pervading and everywhere. Wherever Manas, the component of Sukshma Sharira, lies, it is able to now reflect the sentiency of the all-pervading Atma and then hand it over to the Stula Sharira. And this gives a semblance of sentiency to this composite, which is Stula Sukshma Karana Sharira, which is life. And at death, there is Viyoga or separation between the Stula Sharira on one side and the Sukshma Karana Sharira on the other side. As we saw, the Manas has this unique ability to reflect consciousness. Now that this Viyoga has happened, Manas, which is part of Sukshma Sharira, no longer lies with the Stula Sharira. Therefore, the Stula Sharira is now insentient and appears as dead. the Stula Sharira alone is visible, whereas the Sukshma Karana Sharira are invisible. So this is the description in Tattva Bodha, and there are quotations in the Bhagavad Gita, as we see predominantly in the chapters that deal with the death. So in the 8th chapter, we see Yaha Prayati Tyajan Deham. This is a reference to this Sukshma Karana Sharira composite that travels. And in the 15th chapter, Manah Shashtani Indriyani Prakritisthani Karshayati. So Karshayati is literally dragging out. Prakritisthani here refers to the Stula Sarira, and Manas Shastan Indriyani refers to the components of the Sukshma Sharira. So all this show that there is a viyoga or separation between the Sukshma Karana Sharira, and this leaves the Stula Sharira, which is seen as dead. So there is certainly a invisible component that is traveling. So the invisible component itself is having two components, which is Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira, and of course Atma is also there. So now the next question is, to which of these three is Nachiketas referring to? Does he refer to the Sukshma Sharira, the Karana Sharira, or the Atma? As we see in this next slide, so what is Nachiketas' real question, or what is the real question of the Kathopanishad? So this comes much later in the second Valli 14th mantra, where Nachiketas clearly says that I am not interested in the surviving Sukshma Karana Sharira. I am interested in knowing the surviving Atma alone. So the question is, Deha Vyatirikta Atma Kaha. What is that Atma, which is other than the physical body, which continues to exist even after the fall of the body? That Atma I want to know is Nachiketas' real question. Thank you.
Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Verse number 21 goes like this. Devairatrapi vichikitsitam pura nahi suvijñeyam manuresha dharmaha anyam varan nachiketo vrinishva mamo parot sirati masrijainam. We have seen in the previous verse that Nachiketas has asked for the ultimate knowledge. He has asked for Atma. Here in this verse, Atma is called as Dharma. We'll look at it. He has asked for the knowledge about the cell. Lord Yama, however, he is obviously qualified to give him that teaching because he himself is a Shrotriya Brahmanishta. He abides by that teaching and he's a very good communicator also. So he can very well give that. But as we have seen in our society also, if the right knowledge falls in the wrong hands, then it can create a lot of troubles. If I teach somebody, he understands something else, then he would go and teach someone else something else, and then the whole wrong tradition gets started and a lot of problems happens in the society. So Lord Yama very rightly tries to understand whether this particular student is qualified for this teaching or not. And for this, the adhikari, being the qualified student, there are 4 tests generally that there are. One is the discrimination between what is real and unreal. If do you have that much understanding? And once you have that understanding, obviously the dispassion comes in for all the things which are unreal. Why would you be attached to something which is unreal? Once you have that discrimination, dispassion automatically comes. And to get to the knowledge of that real, you need to have that desire and ultimately that discipline also. So these are the qualifications which the teacher, Lord Yama, is going to check in the subsequent verses to ensure that the seeker, that this student is in fact qualified. So we see in this particular verse, he says, Nahi suvijñeyam anuresha dharma. Dharma means something which upholds everything, which is a substratum for everything. And dharma is the substratum for all the society. And here we know that Atma is also the substratum for everything. That's why it is being called as dharma. But he's referring to Atma only. He says this Atma, this dharma, is nahi suvijñeya. It is not very easy to understand. It's a very complex topic. It is anu. It is subtle like an atom. We know how subtle an atom is. We cannot just see it with our sense organs. So it needs a very, very sharp instrument of our body-mind complex. Very sharp intellect is needed to understand this. And even the Deveratra api, even the gods haven't understood it. They themselves have a lot of doubts. Pura, for a long time. It's not something that this has come yesterday. This is a topic which is being people are trying to understand, even the gods are trying to understand for a very long time, and they still have a lot of doubts about it. Please, Anyam Varan Nachiketo Vrinishva. Please ask for something else. Ask for something which has a more practical utility. What will you do with this knowledge of what happens to a person when he goes, what is Atma and all? Ask for something different. Please don't compel me to answer this question. It is only wise for you to answer something else. He's just trying to really see whether he's really eligible, he really wants this particular knowledge or not. So he's trying to dissuade. And in the subsequent verses, we'll see how he answers and how more tests are given to him. Thank you, sir.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, mantras 22 and 23. Mantra 22 goes like this. Devaihi atra api vichikitsitam kila. Tvam cha mrityo yanna subnyayam artha. Vakta cha asya tvadrik anya na labhyaha na anya varaha tulyaha etasya kaschid. Yamadharmaraja, up till now, was trying to dissuade Nachiketas from asking for Brahma Vidya for various reasons. Here we see Nachiketas is using those very same reasons that Yama had used to dissuade him from seeking Brahma Vidya to validate his need for this boon. This brilliant Nachiketa says, if Devaihi api atra vichikitsitam, meaning, if even gods cannot comprehend this subtle knowledge, how can ordinary human beings ever understand? So his first reason was, since it is the rarest wisdom, it ought to be the most valuable. Therefore, I want this wisdom. His second reason, he says, Hey Mrityo, tvam na subnyayam artha. You say that this knowledge is difficult to comprehend, so I will need the help of a guru. His third reason, who is better qualified than Yamadharmaraja? Remember, Nachiketas wanted to know what Dr. Sundar has just explained. Prete manushya ya iyam vichikitsya asti. Ayam asti iti eke vadanti. Ayam na asti iti eke vadanti. Tvaya anushishtaha. Aham etad vidyam varanam esha tritiya vara bhavati. This means, what will happen to us after death? Yamadharmaraja, we know, is the Lord of Kala Tattvam. He would certainly know what is and what isn't destroyed at the time of death. Asya vakta cha twadrik anya na labhyaha. There is no guru as great as you. Conclusion, etasya tulya anya kaschit varaha na asti. There is no other boon equivalent to this. I need Atma Jnanam. This reveals his Tivra Mumukshutvam. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 67, Lord Krishna says that among the 4 qualifications needed to make one eligible for the study of Gita or any scripture is Shushrusha, meaning Shrotum Ichha, an intense desire to listen to the teachings of the Guru. Nachiketas proves that he is well qualified. In Mantra 23, we see the words of Yamadharmaraja as follows. Shatayushaha putra putram pautran vrinishva. Bahun pashun hasti hiranyam ashwan. Bhume mahad ayatanam vrinishva. Swayam cha jiva sharado yavad ichhasi. Although Nachiketas clearly indicates his desire for Brahma Vidya, Yamadharmaraja challenges him with numerous temptations. He needs proof of Vairagyam. Tivra Mumukshutvam is the ability to sacrifice Artha, Kama, Dharma, anything related to Anatma for Atma Vidya. Yamadharmaraja offers Nachiketas worldly pleasures, iha loka phalani. So, as an alternative to Atma Jnanam, he is offered Putra Pautran, sons and grandsons who would live for 100 years, Bahun Pashun, cattle wealth, Hastihi, elephants, Ashwan, horses, Hiranyam, gold, meaning material resources to look after all these, Mahad Bhume, a large empire, Swayam Yavad Sharadaha Ichasi, Tavad Tvam Jiva, the ability to live as long as he may choose. Remember, this is an endorsement from Yamadharmaraja. So, if ever the Yamakinkaras approach him with their customary turbulence, Ati Bhishana, Katubhashana, Yamakinkara Patali, Kriti Thandana Paripidana, thinking that it is his Maranagama Samaye, Yamadharmaraja has granted Nachiketas an option to choose diplomatic immunity from these kinkaras. Swayam yavad sharadaha ichasi tavad tam jiva, the ability to live as long as he chooses to live. Thank you.
Hari Om, Sri Gurubhyo Namah. The verse continues. 24th verse. Etat tulyam yadi manyase varam vrisha vittam chirajeevikam cha mahabhumau nachiketastvamedi kamanam tva kamabhajam karomi. So Yamadharmaraja continues his temptation. He wonders perhaps Nachiketas might have some other type of desires or not. In the previous verse, we saw that Yamadharmaraja offered so many worldly pleasures, putra pautran, sons and grandsons with hundreds of years of life, bahun pashun, many animals like elephant, horses, and vast kingdom of earth, and a long lifespan for himself. Everything Yamadharmaraja offered. Now, Lord Yama offers for any other boon equivalent to these boons. Lord Yama says, Vittam cha, take any amount of wealth, and Chira Jeevikam cha, and take long life, which already promised. In addition to the previous boons, this boon can also add, and may you become the emperor of earth, not one of the kingdoms, Mahabhumau. So, in the whole of earth, may you become the Adhikari. And Yama continues, Kamanam tva kama bhajam karomi. I shall make you the enjoyer of all the entertainments in the world, and I shall make you the possessor of all the forms of wealth. Only one condition, you should not ask for Atmajnana. The indirect teaching is if one has to choose Atmajnanam, one should be mentally ready to sacrifice all these things. This does not mean it is necessary to sacrifice them immediately, but should be prepared to sacrifice if needed. In the 15th verse, 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains, Asanka Shastrena Dridena Chitva. One has to prepare for Tivra Vairagyam and thus becomes the Adhikari for self-knowledge or Atmajnana. Hari Om. Thank you.
Friends, as all of you are aware, Paramvedanta has been offering Guru Dakshina to all our Gurus twice a year, once during Guru Purnima and again during Gita Jayanti. You have been a part of this offering all through, and we are indeed grateful to you. Now Gita Jayanti is back again on 22nd December 2023, and it's time for us to submit our offer to the lotus feet of our Gurus. I am sure you will join us in this Guru Seva as always, and I therefore appeal to kindly offer your generous reverential offerings to these Gurus. Needless to mention, that decision to donate and amount of donation is purely voluntary, and there is absolutely no compulsion. The entire amount of your offering thus collected will reach the lotus feet of our Gurus. The mode of payment to the account is displayed on the screen. It will also be sent to you in all the groups. Those of you who decide to offer may remit your Dakshina to that account. Details of Guru Dakshina offered will be shared with you all. Hari Om. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And all speakers of the day for the in-depth explanations. Thank you, friends, for being with us. Coming Monday on 11th December 2023, let us tune in for gift session 5 at 6:45 p.m. Thank you once again. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ओम्। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। Thank you.